So gazillions of guns means gazillions of sounds. We talked with the talented sound team at Gearbox Software.
You led that claptrap here, but that I will never forgive you.
I think that, quite honestly, the fact that the world was as diverse as it was for Borderlands 2 was kind of opened up a whole new area for us. Compared to Borderlands 1, there were a lot of lush environments in Borderlands 2, and that gave us a broader range of music to pull from, as well as the creatures that are involved in those environments. Gave us a chance to kind of create the universe based upon the organic nature of those creatures, and with tells and different calls and different signs from them to kind of create a creepy atmosphere. I would say probably as far as ambience are concerned, the makeup of the music was a big part of that, and yeah, it just really increased the palette for us. So it was a challenge in the sense that we had to create a lot more content, but it was also refreshing because it opened up a whole new door for creativity. Especially on the music front, you know, we were able to open up the palette from being, while it's still somewhat synth-based, we introduced a lot of organic instruments, a lot of guitar. There's some vocal, there's mandolin, there's all sorts of different things that were incorporated in the score to kind of ground it to the lush environments and the more sort of, I guess, outside or organic nature of the game.
The music is, it's not really an adaptive music system, it's more of an interactive. I know that might be a small distinction there, but meaning that it just kind of turns on, combat turns off. We actually deliberately chose to go a simpler route like that because it just never, Borderlands is a game that it's got a lot of there's gameplay in it that feels almost like older gameplay while it's still something so fresh. And I didn't want to get too overburdened in the technicalities of, like, you know, the music switches on, but maybe it's just medium intensity, and then how do you get to the highest intensity? And I've done that in previous games, and it just introduces a ton of problems. So we said, you know what, let's just kind of keep it simple. So rather than making the music transitions more complicated, I wanted to focus more on determining when to play the music. And so basically what we do is we have all sorts of things running, collect information at all times when you're playing the game, and we distill all of that information and data down to a single intensity number. So we measure all sorts of things to figure out how intense the experience is for the player. And only when it reaches a certain threshold and the player is at a certain level of threat or difficulty do we actually play the combat music. So it becomes less of a telegraph of, like, you know, music changes and you don't see a guy, so you're like, oh, someone's coming, let me know. You know, like, I better start turning around in circles. Rather, the music's not going to trigger until you're in combat and in real danger. So I think it just brings together so many other aspects of the game, and it starts creating all these opportunities for these emergent moments in the game, which what makes Borderlands what it is.
Screw you!
Pretty much everything that we start with has that first base layer of modern weaponry to it. We tried to stay away from doing anything that's too purely sci-fi or synthetic and stuff like that across the board, because then you lose some of that grit and the feeling of these machine parts actually moving and clicking and ratcheting and all that kind of stuff. All that kind of clunky metal work and everything, that's what kind of makes guns just sound cool and like and makes them feel like they're really like kind of in your hand or in front of you. It's all those little subtle things, not the blast of the gun and stuff like that. It's actually all these other mechanical components that make you feel like there's something there and something substantial. So we tried to stay away from that until you get into the most powerful alien weapons that have the most kind of wild effects and things of that nature. Then we swung to the other side and went more kind of synth. Josh Davison actually did all of the weapon design in the game, and he did just an awesome job in achieving all of that, so that when you do get the alien weapon, you're like, oh, whoa, like that sense of reward gets even more increased because you haven't been hearing that throughout the whole game. So that all that kind of went into how we wanted to approach things, and we tried to give manufacturers specific character and try to keep that character. So of laid off rifle versus of laid off pistol versus of laid off, there's a similarity across that family of weapon that you start to pick up and start to associate the longer you're in the game.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the big deals with this game. Is we felt like on Borderlands 1 that there was between manufacturers there was too much of a commonality, and we wanted to create something that was a little more diverse so that you could actually pick up a weapon and know, without looking at the stat after playing for a while, you know what manufacturer you're dealing with. And so yeah, there's a much more granular and specific soundscape when it comes to the different manufacturers of the weapons.
We can almost guarantee that you will want to win all prizes in our Borderlands competition if you're a fan of the game. So today's question is, what was the name of the 3 composers behind the original soundtrack for Borderlands? Save your answer for now and make sure to watch tomorrow where it's Killer Skills. We talk with the lead designer on the new characters of Borderlands 2.